Alright, guys, we are back at you with another Dark Side of the Ring episode review. This time around, we're going to be talking about the Sherri Martel episode, which is called Sensational Sherri. This is Season 5, Episode 8. And wow, what a powerful and sad episode this was.
I would have to say, I thought the earthquake story was sad, and it was sad, but...
Right.
Like, this video really hit hard as being, really sad,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we just did not have no idea about her, because they never did any, documentaries or anything on her as of now until this Dark Side of the Ring episode. Yeah. You know, so I didn't know nothing about her life story or behind the scenes, her son, you know.
You didn't know any of that. You just saw, you know of her... being on TV and being part of, the manager, wrestler type deals like that, but you didn't know really her off-campus, lifestyle.
Right. Which she was a fantastic, really nice person behind the scenes, in real life. And it says here that she was, born in February of 1958. And unfortunately, she passed away in June of 2007 at the age of 49.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's pretty damn young.
And it says here that, she was an American professional wrestler and manager. She began her wrestling career, it says, in the Mid-South training. Because, here's the interesting thing. From what they said, I think she was 16 at the time. She wanted to wrestle, but Jake the Snake's dad told her to come back when she was 21.
Yeah, and she did. She came back and she threw her ID in front of us like, I'm 21.
Right.
Like, okay, let's give it a shot.
Right. And the one thing I didn't know about is in the early 70s, her and Jake the Snake became in a relationship.
Yeah, and that was cool because, like I said, always following wrestling, that was the first time I ever knew that the two of them had a thing going.
Right. He said it was off and on for a few years.
Yeah.
And then she ended up marrying some guy, I think somewhere in the late 70s, and she had a son in the late 70s.
Yeah, dude, seeing her son, that's sad. He was sick. And,
right.
When he talked, he couldn't really...
He couldn't really talk well. He was in the... the episode talking here and there, and I believe it's because he has cancer.
Yeah, they said that the cancer, because of the way he's talking, he lost part of his tongue.
Right.
Which cancer, and that's why... gives him, a hard time, speaking.
Right, which is pretty sad, because he seems like a really nice person. And you hate to see good people, crash and burn like that,
Yeah, and that's another thing, too, you never knew about Sherri, that she had a son, and she basically gave up her son
for wrestling.
To pursue her wrestling career.
Yeah, because she was so into it that she couldn't be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, and she didn't want to be really known as a mom. Something about women who have kids, or something, it affects their wrestling career or something like that.
Right. But, well, that goes with a lot of wrestlers. If you have a family, you're not going to see them much, especially if you're a professional wrestler.
Yeah, that's the one thing I always looked at. I hear about all these wrestlers who have families, and you hear that stories over and over about how they were never there for their kids. They gave up, families to live life on the road. It's like, if you're gonna live that way, it would be the best interest for you to be single. That way you don't have to worry about anybody back home, and you can truly live your life on the road.
Right. But it says here, she in AWA in the mid 80s. She held AWA World's Women's Championship 3 times.
Yeah, and she had a feud with Fabulous Moolah.
Yeah, and it says in the late 80s she joined the WWF, where she held the WWF Women's Championship.
Yeah, she actually won the title from Fabulous Moolah.
Right.
And then she wound up losing it to Jake the Snake Roberts' sister, Rockin' Robin.
Right. She was also in the Dark Side of the Ring episode talking about Sherri and how she got kicked in the neck.
Kicked right in the throat. Like, they went out there to work a match, and Sherri was like under the influence, and I guess like at one point she threw a kick that was in the, kick her in the ribs, but being under the influence, her balance was off, and when she threw her kick, she wound up kicking her full force, like right in the throat.
Right, which damn near almost ended her.
Yeah, she was like sitting there like couldn't breathe and freaking out.
Yeah, because I believe by this time, Sherri, she was probably on a lot of painkillers and meds, and
she was hooked on those somas.
Right, doing all kinds of things to help kill the pain. Because this is no joke, man. The wrestling business is a life of pain.
Like almost every story that we've heard of all these wrestlers now, like how many of them get involved with drinking and drugs and
painkillers.
Yeah, it's like I always think back in Beyond the Mat what Jake the Snake Roberts said, that you get in this business, you're gonna get into some kind of bad habit because you need something to kill the pain. Like it's like you take this so you go out and work, you take sleep pills to go to sleep, you take cocaine to wake you up in the morning, you drink, and, you do this, do that just to get through, a day-to-day deal. Right.
Yeah, it's what I like to call a circle of hell.
Yeah.
It's
Sherri, she took a lot of, big bumps, like, talk about she would get slammed, showing her get, slammed and dumped on like a concrete floor, like, a human body can only endure so much, like,
before it starts to give out on you.
Yeah, and like, and what Jake even explained, like, back then, you didn't have, back in like the 80s and stuff, you didn't have like days off.
Yeah, you were working all the time.
Yeah, they were on the road for what seemed like just forever, like
like 7 days a week, pretty much.
Yeah, waking up at a different city every single day, like that would be so hard. Waking up in a different city, a different room every day, like.
It's pretty grueling. It's a grueling lifestyle to live. You got to be fucking strong to be in that business.
You got to have a toughness and a drive, and
passion.
And a passion for that business.
Like Hulk Hogan said, if you ain't 100% have heart and drive and soul for this, don't get into it.
Yeah, Triple H even said that on I think one of the Tough Enoughs, where he told all the Tough Enough contestants, like, if you got a family at home, you can forget about it because this business will destroy it. He's like, if you're not 100% committed to this business and ready to give it your everything, then you need to just don't waste our time and hit the fucking road right now. Yeah. And
it's grueling, like, man.
Do you remember, like, right after he said that, one of the contestants quit, like, 10 minutes later. He came up and told Triple H, like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And because it really hit him because
the reality hit him pretty good.
Yeah, he had just gotten, like, shortly before Tough Enough, he had just gotten into a relationship with this girl that he loved. And hearing Triple H say about, like, this will tear families apart, this will tear relationships apart.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see them that much, if you're on the road, and
Right.
And that really hit that guy. Like, yeah, like I don't want this.
Right, and that's what she did. She loved the wrestling business so much that she really didn't get to see her son at all. And her son was saying that she was, apologizing to him for not, being around as much as she wanted to be, but he was okay with it.
They even showed him at the Hall of Fame speech that she did. Like, she did mention her son, like, thanks to this person, and she said her son, I forget her son's name, Jared, I think it was.
I don't remember offhand.
But, and so it's almost like, wow, you're saying your son's name in a WWE show, but then all your history, you never even acknowledged them.
Right. At that time, it's just a different time.
I know.
But
I'm sure it sucked. I'm sure she had to hate any mother would probably hate doing something like that to give up her child, basically, so she could go live her dream.
Right, she gave up everything for wrestling because she had 100% passion for it.
Yeah, and she wanted to have that life, live on.
Yeah, because like New Jack, he said in the documentary years ago, I can't live the normal 9 to 5. I need quick, money. Boom, here and this, that.
And that's why a lot of people got into the wrestling business, because they looked at it as it's grueling, it's all this, but it's a hell of a damn payday.
Right, yeah, and like her, she couldn't just live the normal, 8 hours a day, whatever. She had to go out there and do something completely different. And they said that her mom took her to wrestling shows when she was a kid.
Yeah, and she wanted to be a wrestler.
Right, so that planted the seeds right there for her to want to go and pursue wrestling.
She was a hell of a wrestler, and she was a hell of a talent.
Right.
And even like later on in the 90s, when her career started slowing down in the ring, and she took on that manager role of like managing like Ted DiBiase and Macho Man and all that. She said that she was doing the manager roles because being a manager to like a main bad guy like paid a lot more than her just being a wrestler.
Right, and I'm sure that was good for her. That way she didn't have to continue taking the bumps and all that shit.
Yeah, but dude, she still, like, even when she was like with Macho Man and all them, she took her fair share of bumps still. Like,
right.
I remember like the one that showed Ultimate Warrior like picking her up over his head and throwing him in the fucking Macho Man, and
right.
And even at WrestleMania 9, she got beat up pretty bad by damn Luna Vachon, like slammed on the floor and kicked. And
didn't you say she actually got knocked out by?
Yeah, Medusa
by
was in
somebody.
In the mid 90s, it was like, I want to say like 96. They had a feud going, and they had like an impromptu match on Raw, like they basically wrestled in like street clothes in a way, and like Sherri won the match with like a roll up, and then as she started to celebrate, like Medusa came up behind her and hit this like back suplex on her, and basically jumped Sherri like right on her fucking head, and like legit like knocked her out.
Have you seen that match?
I believe it's on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, I need to check that out.
I remember watching the Nitro it happened, and I remember like not only did she, I don't know if Medusa didn't realize that she had knocked Sherri legit out, because after back suplexed her, she got on top of her and started like smacking her in the face and like ramming her fucking head off the mat. Like,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, if you watch it, it's horrible to see. Like, I mean, especially like, this was near the end of Sherri's run.
Right.
Like,
but before that, I mean, she was working with WWF, and she was even with Shawn Michaels for a little while.
Yeah, when Shawn Michaels first turned heel and was doing his sexy boy, and you know what's funny? That's the thing. They didn't even make mention of that Dark Side of the Ring.
They didn't really go into that. Even she did the theme music, with Shawn.
And if you hear Shawn's music now, all they did was take her voice and they just kind of distorted it to where the music that he comes out to now, like.
Well, yeah, they just replaced it with his stuff. Yeah. But and then at some point, I want to say somewhere in the 90s, they were drug testing.
Yeah, and she kept failing for marijuana because she was a heavy marijuana user, and
right, and plus all the drugs she was taking.
Yeah, well, wasn't that it was basically what they were saying was the marijuana, and
they got rid of her over marijuana.
Yeah, well, I mean, back in the 90s, that was rules for
ain't that a bitch? They could, a lot of them can drink and all this shit, which
that's what who was it said it? Was it Robin or was it Jake that were saying, like, there's top talent in the WWF, like male wrestlers who were failing drug tests for worser shit, and they were still, they were just like fined and
right,
this and that. And, Sherri fails one for marijuana, and they're like, she walked in the room. It was
Vince and a few others.
Yeah, and they said that they just told her that you failed your drug test, you're fired.
Right. So from there, she went. I forgot the company.
Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah, for a short time.
Yeah,
and then she went to WCW.
Yeah, and that's where she kind of relit her career, because she started off like managing Ric Flair. And then when Ric Flair, the deal was done, like, she managed Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat, yeah. I remember that back in the day, which I thought was a good idea.
Yeah, Sister Sherri.
And she was doing that for a little while until, I guess, Eric Bischoff, from what he said in the Dark Side of the Ring episode, that she was getting, sloppy or something like that.
Well, and she didn't know her time in wrestling was she was losing like a step, and she was like be backstage all fucked up, and she'd just tell them, like, I'm okay, like.
Right.
And they said there was a nickname going around for her back then. It was like called Soma Sherri.
Right.
Because of she was so hooked on those damn somas that.
Right. It says here that she also appeared in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Yeah, as a manager for Bobby, somebody named Bobby, which ended up being her last televised wrestling appearance.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. And she also, like you said, she was in the Hall of Fame.
But not only that, though, another thing you didn't mention in the Dark Side of the Ring, she did make an appearance in WWE. I don't remember if it was before. Oh yeah, it was like a couple of years before her Hall of Fame, where they brought her in during a feud with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, okay, so they never mentioned that. I did like the part in the Hall of Fame where she was calling out Eric Bischoff, like, yeah, he's out of here. And she's like, oh, wait, he's over there.
Oh, he's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're dead. You lost.
Right. So, yeah, and he was laughing about it, which is cool.
Yeah.
But she
How
really.
about the part in the Dark Side of the Ring where, I know we kind of jumped ahead of it.
No, it's okay. We're all over the place.
Where one of the, was it Grizzly Smith or was it another promoter that smacked her in the face?
It wasn't Jake's dad. It was somebody else.
Oh, okay, but they said that they smacked her in the face like as hard as he could, and she just like told him, like, is that the best you got?
Right. Well, she was a tough woman. As a matter of fact, I would just say that she's more tough than the average guy. With everything that she went through.
Yeah, like you watch some of her deals, like not just her matches, but like even stuff in the '90s. Even when she was a manager, like she took some pretty nasty spots. Like it was just like let's say a human body can only endure so much pain. They said when you get slammed and dumped on a concrete floor,
it's no joke.
That shit fucking hurts.
And you do that night after night, it's gonna wear your body out.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying, is that all she needed was like a surgery to stop her pain, and they said that she didn't have the money to pay for the surgery.
Right, but before she died, what was going to happen? Was she going to go back into the WWE?
Yeah, she had a deal. She had a deal with WWE that they were going to bring her in, hire her back as a trainer.
Yeah, which I think would have been a great idea.
Yeah, she could have been back even though she wouldn't have been out there wrestling, she could have been teaching a lot of the new girls some of the old style,
which I think would have been awesome.
Yeah,
and then, didn't you say like the day before she passed, her best friend?
She was talking to her friend, and her friend was saying that that she had never seen Sherri like that happy that day. That she was going to get back into what she loved, and I mean, the fact that she was 49 years old, she could have still had several years,
Oh yeah, I mean that's still pretty young, and it says here on June 15th, 2007, she passed away at the age of 49, and it says what is it here? The top,
multiple overdose.
Yeah, it says from here, stating that she died of an overdose with multiple drugs in her system.
Yeah,
including high amounts of oxycodone.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, that's a dangerous drug.
Yeah.
That alone, it could fucking kill you.
Yeah, so it's a hard life to live.
Yeah, the fact that she mixed that, like they showed the list of all the drugs that were in her system at the time, and you're like, wow, that, like one guy said it best, like that's a deadly combination.
Right.
To anybody.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, it says here also that in 2005 she returned to the WWE to take part in a storyline with
Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
Kurt Angle actually beat her up and fucking put her in that damn ankle lock submission of his.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. But man, behind the scenes, she was a fantastic person.
Yeah, everybody said that she was so nice to everybody. Like she was totally different from her character.
Right. And I never I've never known what she was like, because like I said, as of now, they've never done any documentaries, and I didn't even know she had a son. And he seems like a super cool person.
Yeah, like all you ever knew of her is just what you saw like on wrestling about her, like seeing her matches and seeing her interviews.
Right. And you know what? I think she does have some shoot interviews out there, at least one that I need to check out, because I think they were showing part of a shoot interview, her talking about the wrestling.
Yeah.
How grueling it can be, and
it is, dude. Like
the lifestyle is it's definitely high. You're in a high performance lifestyle, and it's like that kind of, like, I wouldn't mind being a wrestler, but if I were to be one, I'd have to do it in my 20s. And the two things that, like, I could care less about the pain, I'm fine with that, but I seriously would not want to travel, and I don't want to be famous. You know what I mean? So if I were a wrestler, I'd have to be like a jobber or something.
Like an independent wrestler,
right?
You just wrestle events locally,
right? Because there's no way I can handle traveling every fucking day. Fuck that.
Especially the way they show how wrestlers have to do back then. Like you would literally have to go out, work like a half-hour match, and then as soon as you're done with the match, you go back, you shower. You put on your street clothes, pack up your stuff, and you have to either drive 4 or 5 hours, or you gotta go to an airport and jump on a plane for 3-4 hours, get to another town, go catch you a few hours sleep, get up,
right,
eat.
And plus if you're muscular, then you gotta fucking lift weights, keep the muscle going.
Yeah, you gotta find time to fucking
hit the gym.
Fit. So
right.
I remember Chris Benoit was saying like he was always big into like staying in shape and all that. That if he could find a gym around, like he would find stuff around the arena that he could use to like work out. Like he would run up and down staircases. He'd be doing push-ups in the locker room. He'd be doing like pull-ups on find a bar that he could do like pull-ups on, and like it was just like because I mean when you go out there and you got that muscular physique.
Yeah, you got to keep it going.
Yeah, you got to really keep it like.
Especially you're in a high performance, and you're a top star wrestler, you want to keep it going for a while. And it just like, it's very, very grueling, I would say. Very grueling. And for the people that say, wrestling's, fake and blah, 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 let me tell you something. The wrestling that you think is fake is actually more hardcore than real wrestling.
I've heard many wrestlers say that shit, that people run up to them like, oh, it looks so fun, I'd love to do that for a living. And,
go for it. Yeah, go in for a tryout. Watch what happens to you.
Yeah.
You'll be crawling out of there.
Billy Gunn said, like, in a interview, like, oh, it looks so bouncy, it's so fun, and he's like, kid, trust me, when you're out there night after night, getting slammed on it, getting dumped on that mat, doing like high spots, it's like it hurts, and it doesn't stop hurting.
No, life of pain.
It's like you don't get used to that pain,
right?
And then when you actually see what the ring is fucking made out of, like
so a little bit of padding, and underneath that's hardcore wood, dude.
You got like an inch or two of padding, and then underneath of that it's just a thing of wood, and then like steel beams running underneath that. So
and imagine getting hit off that every day.
Yeah,
it sucks. Year after year, you're gonna be feeling it, man.
Imagine taking a top rope fucking suplex onto that damn mat.
Yeah, it sucks.
Or how about Mankind getting choke slammed through the ring and
right. Yeah, he took a beating over the years, man, big time.
Yeah. He said in that deal in Beyond the Mat that he said that the fall that he took from the cage to the ring got like a lot of respect from the boys, because he's like, they've been slammed and dumped on the WWF rings at the time, and they didn't have a whole lot of give to them, and and you figure he's taking a fall like going through a cage straight, and you see him smack the fucking mat, and you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it sucks. He's in pain every fucking day.
Oh yeah, like he even states that when he puts like socks and shoes on, his wife will have to put his socks and shoes on for him.
Yeah, it's hardcore, man.
He can't even bend down far enough to put like socks and shoes on.
Right. Well, look what he's been through for all those years.
Yeah.
He's fortunate enough to still be standing. I think Hulk Hogan has to use crutches.
Yeah, because of all the pain, the back surgeries, and even like I think you say he's got like artificial knee, and
it's crazy.
But
all in all,
you really want to live with all that pain.
Yeah,
just to be a star.
Yeah, I mean, some want it. Some, most can't do it. It's only for the strongest, man. But anyways, what would you I'm going to give this a solid 10 out of 10 episode.
You know what? Yeah, I agree too. To be the first one that I would actually give a solid, because it was just like, it was very, very sad.
Yeah, and powerful.
You know, to really know the life of Sherri Martel.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, the only time was like, you know, because no documentaries, I only remember her from her wrestling days, and you know, I really just remember watching her career late, and you know, when she was managing.
Right. I remember her pretty well in the WCW days in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I remember her in the early days, like WWF, when she was, you know, with Macho Man and
right.
You know, and all that, and the $1 Million Man.
Good old days of wrestling, man.
Cool. I never liked the fact that she always had like her face always all maked up. I thought she was actually, you know, a good-looking woman. She, you know, that.
Oh yeah, she was a really good look, especially in the '70s when they showed pictures of her. I was like, wow, yeah, she was really good looking woman.
I'm saying she's always a good looker, but I felt like when they had her do those gimmicks where she wore a lot of, like, you know, face paint and stuff, I thought all the face paint and shit made her kind of look ugly, and that's why.
Well, that's what she was going for, I guess.
Yeah.
But
man, Brutus Beefcake even did that on an angle in WWF where he was like calling her like Scary Sherri.
Yeah. Good stuff. Great episode. I highly recommend you watch it. I mean, all these episodes are pretty good, but sometimes they're like super good. You know,
and that Sherri one was super good.
Yeah, it was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't sure because I didn't know, like I said, really nothing about her behind the scenes. You know, what goes on in her real life outside of wrestling. And this one really was like an eye opener. I was like, wow, I had no idea, you know, this and that and certain things.
She was awesome.
Yeah, good person, a lot of heart. But anyways, we are going to wrap this one up, guys. We hope you enjoyed this review. We're out of here for now. Have a good one.